Hi, this is David McCann for WebTNG. In this video, I'm taking a first look at the core framework. This is a new CSS utility framework, which has just been released. It's from the same team that developed Motion.page and Oxy Ninja, so they have some experience in this area. There are a lot of CSS frameworks available online. What's a little different about this one is it kind of starts out as a WordPress solution, but it can also be used as a general solution also. This is the web page for the core framework, and it's free to sign up to use it. So it's worth signing up to use it and play around with it to get an idea about how it works and what's involved. There are two options. This one option, which we'll look at in just a moment, you can use the web app, which you access right here, and you can generate your CSS classes and variables, basically a style sheet, and then import that into your web project, whether that's WordPress related or not. Then the other option is there's a WordPress plugin, and the plugin has some extensions or integrations. The plugin itself is free, and the Gutenberg extension is also free. The Bricks and Oxygen extensions are 99 euros each. If you had already purchased Oxy Ninja in the past, then you can get discount on the Bricks add-on and get the Oxygen extension for free. Before we start kind of diving into it, let's look a little bit more at the website. This is the quote-unquote marketplace. Here are the Oxygen and Bricks extensions. The Gutenberg extension is already included in the WordPress plugin, so you don't download that separately. Then this is what's coming soon. They're going to have some pre-designed components or templates available, and so that'll be interesting when these are released. I imagine they will be sold separately in some kind of packages, so could well have some additional costs if you want to use them. So this is my dashboard. This is where you open the web app, which you do here also. And this is where you download the WordPress plugin. So you do need to create an account first. And then here's my Bricks and Oxygen add-ons. Okay. These are the docs that are available. Not bad for a brand new product that, just launched. I'm sure you could have some more walkthroughs and demos and tutorials, especially in using the extensions. So kind of really going in depth a little bit more, showing how to use the extension in Oxygen and Bricks and Gutenberg, I think would be helpful. Okay, let's go back to the home page and let's go now to the web app. Okay, so this web app, this is where you create your classes and variables. This interface is the same. You have the same kind of interface with the WordPress plugin. So you can have this interface inside of WordPress, or you can use it in the web app. Yeah, let's start at the bottom. Over here, for example, you can see that there are 833 selectors now and 128 CSS variables, so just under 1,000 items here defined. That's a lot, and the good chance is that most of us would never use a lot of that. So I'm going to say up front that as you dig into using the core framework after a while, I think I would anyway, and I imagine a lot of people would turn some of these things off because we probably wouldn't need them. But that's fine. We have the flexibility to do that. Over here, we have the preferences, respect reduced motion if the browser settings indicate that. You can add your own personal prefix, like prefix them all D dash for my classes and variables, so it would be obvious which ones were related to the core framework. You can enable post CSS, which adds vendor prefixed classes, and you can output as rem, relative ems, instead of pixels. It's kind of what I would recommend. Now here we get into some things that I think are really crucial to pay attention to. You have your root font size. Some people use 62.5%. I think all browsers have as a default 16 pixels equal a rem, but you can change that. So individuals may have changed it. And some people use this because 62.5% because that actually equals 10 pixels, and then you can do math based on units of 10. I always go with 100%. And I mentioned these, and there's another place also that we're going to need to pay attention to, because when you're working with a theme or a builder, you're going to want to coordinate these screen sizes with the settings you have in your builder. Okay, so this is really important. So that's something there to keep in mind. You can have a light and dark theme here in the builder and reset to default. You can export and import, and there's no save option here between sessions. So if you get something really good that you like and you've put a lot of effort into it, then you could export it, and the next time, if you want to use it as a basis for your next project, you could import it and kind of have that starting point already. Up here, then, this is where you can set your colors. And so this is the other place where this breakpoint settings. Another place I think you really need to pay attention to so that your breakpoints in your builder or your theme and what you output here are coordinated. It has these breakpoints set by default. You can add another one. If you go into one, you can delete it and create a new one if for some reason the settings didn't fit with what you needed. Then we have the color options first. I've got your main brand colors, your neutral colors, and your status colors. You can create a new group. You can add colors to each group. You can edit the color itself or the variable name here. Another thing is here, you can duplicate the group. You can move it up or down. You can delete it. And here, for any one color, you have the option to generate utility classes, which are going to be these that go into your style sheet. And you can generate transparent variants, shades, and tints. This kind of automatic generation, you can increase the number of shades and tints you want. You can turn off transparent variants if you're not going to use them. You can change the unit for your colors. For typography, you have several areas here, and you can set your scale. They're popular scales you'll find online for calculating, to use as a basis for calculating fluid typography. If we scroll down, these are the headings. So you're going to have a entry in your style sheet for each of your heading levels, which is something that I think people would want. You can edit those here. Line heights, text modifiers, these are going to be useful. And text alignment options, okay? So all good stuff here. Spacing, you can use the same scale for spacing, for generating your spacing, your gaps, your margins, and padding. So spacing components is interesting. This is where you can take an HTML element and basically style it up as a component and save it, or a group of HTML elements, for example, the card here. Again, you can create more groups and more variable groups. Layout, this is for using with grid and flex. For alignment options, self-alignment. Grid column spans. height and width options. Okay, here are some design options for border, shadows, opacity, image fit, backdrop blur filters, and some miscellaneous options. Okay, so when you take them all together and you push them, then that kind of takes them from here and compiles it, and then you can go to preview, you can download as a CSS file, you can export, you can copy, or you can copy a minified version. So this is the interface for generating your own framework. Okay, so I have a testing site where we can test the core framework. Let's go and look at the plugins. Okay, I have the core framework installed here. If we look at themes, I have the 2023 theme installed. If we go to the core framework, this should look familiar to you now. It is the same interface and utility for generating our classes and variables that we had on the web, but this is integrated into WordPress. We can push changes and preview CSS here, and when we preview the CSS, we can copy it all or download a file just like we could in the web interface. We have these WordPress add-ons now, and we have an interface for Gutenberg. Okay, so let's enable that, and let's go into Gutenberg and see what kind of things we see there. Let's add some headings. So this is a heading, and let's duplicate this a couple of times. That should be enough, and this we will make an H1. This is an H2, this will be an H3, and this will be an H4. Just going to refresh this so that we can go and view page and see how this looks different. So let's look at the H3, for example, and font size 36, H3, font size 42.56. Why am I showing you this? My point that I wanted to make is that you're using a theme. The theme is loading its styles into the editor. That's something to keep in mind. There could be some interaction with the framework and the editor. Now, this panel here, this core framework panel, this is what you get when you have the Gutenberg add-on. Without the add-on enabled, you wouldn't see this. This is useful here. Here is some big text. Here is some normal text. Here is some small text. So we do have things here like fluid typography. We can go to text large. See, that's convenient and easy to do. We can go to text medium, and we can go to text small. I wanted to show you that this does have some utility and value to use, but I think we're going to need a theme to use with this where we're getting the core framework styles loaded and not the theme styles loaded. Now there's one other thing I wanted to show you. In Gutenberg, default core Gutenberg using the core framework, and that is that unfortunately Gutenberg has kind of some squirrely implementations of Flexbox. Okay, so you can see that we can select the row Okay, and we can go into the block options and we can change it to be a column. Okay, so this is kind of Gutenberg hiding Flexbox from you but giving you some of the controls. Okay, but what normally we would want to do here is we select this, we go to spacing, and normally we would want to set a gap here. So like extra large or horizontal extra large. Okay, none of that is happening here because of squirrely Gutenberg. Okay, so that's another thing I wanted to point out to you is that not all of these class features are going to be easily used inside the editor. If we save and we go and refresh, we don't see it here either. Maybe these gaps are just for CSS Grid. So let's try padding extra small. That works. Simple flex layouts. So that works. That's what I wanted to show you with the default core framework and default core Gutenberg. Now you probably noticed that I have Quickly installed. So let's activate Quickly and let's go to themes and we'll activate the Quickly theme. The Quickly theme is very minimalistic. It basically just has mainly classes for styling and laying out the comments. Not really much in it. Now I'm going to go to, since I changed themes, I'm going to go here and I'm going to push the changes again just in case because we changed themes. We do have the Gutenberg add-on enabled still. Let's go and add a new page. We'll call this Quickly Test. And let's add a Quickly heading. Okay, and we'll duplicate this a few times. Okay, so that one is an H1. This one will be an H2. This one will be an H3. This one will be an H4. So I'm going to publish that. Note that we have this kind of corruption here. I think that's coming from the style sheet. Okay, I guess that's the way we know that it's working. I'm just going to refresh this so we can open it in a new tab. And see, these are the sizes from our core framework style sheet. Okay, so I'm just kind of showing you, here, probably picking up some Quickly styles. What we're going to want to have for Quickly and any other builder is probably an integration made for that builder. Quickly does have the ability to create a global style sheet. So we'll call it cf.css. Okay, and now let's open this in a new tab. And let's go to add-ons and disable that. And let's go and push changes, preview CSS. We're going to copy all 900 plus of our items here. Okay, normally I think that people aren't really going to use 900 classes and variables. So a lot of things you could probably turn off if you're not going to use them. So now I'm going to paste all those in. I'm going to enable this and update. Okay, so now we have our style sheet loaded. Now things look quite a bit different. See, we have these gaps here. Let's see, we've got all this space, so okay. Quickly has some default styling there on the heading, which we can, I'm sure we could get rid of that. And then we'd have kind of a closer representation in the editor of what we're going to have on the front end. With Quickly also, I think because you have divs, you could probably use the grid and flexbox and gap and sizing options here maybe a little easier. Powering along, I'm going to go and turn Quickly off, go and enable bricks. Let's go to Core Framework, look at the add-ons. Okay, so this one disabled, this is automatically enabled, great. We'll push our changes. Let's go and create a page in bricks. And let's add our heading and go over here and duplicate. Okay, so this will be H1, H2, H3, whoops, yep, H3 and H4. And we'll save that. And now let's just go back to our pages and let's view the page. That's what we get here. That's what we have there. Okay. That looks about the same. The question is, let's look at the H2. Okay, and font size 56.8. H2. And the font size 35.5. Okay, so I think our headings aren't being picked up here automatically, our core headings. No doubt there's a way to make this happen, but I'm just showing you kind of what I see out of the box because there isn't a video or anything on this. Okay, now let's add some text. Okay, and here we can go and we can do, let's try our txt. So what we see here is that the classes have been brought in here, and that is pretty cool. Like that's the color class. So that's convenient. Now let's try the sizing. I think there are variables. And we see that the variables aren't showing up there. And so that's something that seems to be missing. So that was the walkthrough first look. I'm sure I missed a lot, but as there's no documentation on how to use the extensions, I just kind of went with what I'd expect. From the look at the user interface and the extensions, there are a few concluding points. First is that the core framework as a total package is pretty cool. All the parts, though, aren't at the same level. The UI for creating classes and variables is really good, and I like that, and it's very useful. It's nice having that outside of WordPress if you want to use it separately, but it's also really nice having that inside of WordPress so that you don't have to import the style sheet separately. The extensions themselves, though, they are a mixed bag. There's some things we were able to get to work with Gutenberg and with Bricks, but there are also some things that were not working or were head scratchers. And then we did test the style sheet just by itself without the Gutenberg extension. Inside of Quickly, there were some spacing issues and whatever, but I'm pretty confident that we could get that to work. In that case, though, you'll need to, memorize the class and variable names because there won't be any user interface integration. So that's a little bit of a mixed bag, something that some people will be fine with and others would like the extra visual component. And I think overall that when we use the core framework with a builder, whether it's Gutenberg based or a page builder, we're probably going to want an extension that has the integration. And so that's where I hope that the core framework team puts their attention now. It's just came out. It's going to need some time to mature. I don't think I'd use it right yet in production, but hopefully it won't be too long before it reaches the point where people can make good use of it. If you got anything out of the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It makes a big difference. Hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.